Well, hi, Marv. Long time no see.
I have another meeting on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock, and I could rarely get back here before 10:30. So,
Well, I'm glad to see you. How are things on your side of the hill?
hey, they're pretty good. Are you going to be at the meeting this weekend?
Yep,
All right, well, I'll see you.
good.
Okay, because I'm on the nominating committee. So,
Oh, right.
but
Yeah, well, we have our interviews slash interview.
yeah, I understand there's only one interview.
Yeah, so. All righty. Whoops. More people coming in. Better get myself in gear here.
How you doing?
Really good.
Good.
Keeping myself out of trouble. Well, no, I'm not, but
Now that means you're not having any fun.
yeah. I always have fun,
Well, that's a good thing.
even when I'm making trouble.
Huh.
Hi, Bev.
Hi. Hi.
Here you are. I knew you had a voice.
Yep.
Ah. This is the early bird group.
I haven't been in over a month. I were on vacation and so forth, so glad to be back.
Well, we only have these once a month, so I don't think you've missed much.
Yeah, well, maybe even a couple months I haven't been. So
Good morning, Ron.
Good morning. How are you, Chris?
Me.
Good. What club are you from?
Bear Creek Valley. My name is Ron Taylor. You might see Ron Karen. That's my non-diploma I use on Facebook, but Ron
Oh,
Taylor,
okay.
president-elect, so from Bear Creek
Oh,
Valley.
good.
Yep.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a full day today. How many of you get district grants? A couple of you. Bev does. Good. I know some clubs have told me that they don't even try anymore because it's just too much of a pain in the fill in the blank.
That's ridiculous. It really is. It is so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it maybe takes 15 minutes to go through the process. And if anybody needs help, I'd be more than happy. And we have two this year. And one's already finished, all the paperwork's done, and it's been approved and finalized. So it's.
How about you, Ron?
Well, we're very lucky because we've got Leanne Mobley in our club and she's organised it. I've only been in New Zealand. I'm from New Zealand. I've only been in America for 2 years. Joined Bear Creek Valley 2 years ago. So, but I've been involved in, I've been probably chairman for the 34 years I've been in Rotarian in New Zealand. I was probably chair for more than half of that for the foundation and did grants. So I've done grants anyway, but Bear Creek Valley's got a good history, I believe, of getting grants most years. So, because they apply for them and there's projects to get done, and yeah.
Good.
It's a shame for the clubs that don't, because they're putting money in but missing out and getting some back to do projects with. It's just, yeah.
Well, I think grants are kind of like, good morning, Jill and Tom and Alan, as you log in. Grants are kind of like insurance or wills and testaments. You know, some people just gloss over when anybody starts talking about them. And if you take them at their simplest form, they're not that complicated, but a lot of people just glaze over, I've noticed, myself included. I mean, my husband was an insurance agent forever, and so I just let him handle anything that has that word in it. You know, like insurance, you do that. And that way I don't have to think about it. But anyway, it's oh, here comes Leslie. She gave a program a couple months ago about how to get your stories published in the newspaper. Here comes Scott. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning.
And Scott and Alan and Jill. Jill, I haven't seen you in a while.
Hi,
Are you going to be there this weekend?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good.
It's right in my backyard.
I know, I was gonna say, you have no excuse for not driving that far.
I know.
Yeah, as
Walking
opposed to
distance,
me,
maybe.
I'll be driving 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I'm driving a ways too. Staying in some old brick building that's got an Airbnb in it, so that's gonna be fun.
That's fun.
Is that a Rotary cat?
Yeah. I'm surprised my cats aren't walking through yeah, they're taking their morning nap by now. They've been out all night cutting up morning bath.
This is Alan DeBoer. I might have to drop off in about 40 minutes. So,
You know, I don't require hall passes. I don't require registration.
No.
If you're going to be late, if you got to leave early, you know, life is happening when you're making other plans.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Alan
It
DeBoer.
was
All of us.
John Lennon.
John Lennon. That's right.
Oh,
Hi, Jesse.
Hey, what's going on, Chris? Thanks for letting me join.
Not much. You are a minute early.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I will too. Jesse is our program today. I'll introduce him in a minute. Excited to have you. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and introduce you and we're going to get started because Jesse's got a chat and blast. So that's the way his life's going and we can all relate to that. Okay, so I still have to keep my eye on the admission thing. So I met Jesse at a Cottage Grove Rotary fundraising event last summer, and he seemed like a go-to guy because of his knowledge of grants, which I was just asking you guys about, and sponsorships, and a passion for membership. So I started thinking, wonder if he'd be a good program here. He's the community engagement director at Lane Workforce Partnership with over 10 years of leadership experience in nonprofit management and higher education. So prior to joining Lane Workforce Partnership, he served as the director of annual giving at United Way of Lane County, which that position led United Way's year-round employee workplace fundraising efforts for 216 local business leaders. And his other leadership roles include serving as the development manager for the HIV Alliance and advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion at the University of Oregon. But he hardly has anything to do. He currently serves as a co-chair for the Community Service Committee of the Rotary Club of Eugene, and is a member of the Community Investment Steering Committee. I'm trying to let people in at the same time. The Community Steering Committee for United Way, Lane County, and an active contributor as an HIV Alliance board member. So with that, I'm going to make you, where's your name? There you are. I'm going to make you co-host, Jesse, and you've got your own slideshow, right?
Yeah, I am set to go, Chris.
All righty. So he is going to talk today about a little bit about sponsorships, a little bit about his different kinds of ideas about membership. I love outside the box thinkers. So I thought I would bring Jesse to you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for that warm introduction, Chris. As Chris mentioned, we happened to meet in passing. It was out in Cottage Grove for, gosh, what was it? Their annual dinner fundraiser at Shady Oaks. So that was a ton of fun. But it's good to see some familiar faces on this call. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I put together a PowerPoint presentation for today, so hopefully folks can see. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the PowerPoint on the screen. Great.
Got it.
And so we're going to cruise through this. As mentioned, unfortunately, I have another commitment that I have to run off to, but I'm hoping that we can start a conversation about some best practices related to corporate sponsorships, as well as a novel approach to fundraising. So let's move along. Here's kind of the rough agenda for today. We're looking at our introductions. I think, Chris, you already covered that very thoroughly. Once again, my name is Jesse Quinn. I'm the Director of Community Engagement with Lane Workforce Partnership. We'll talk a little bit about the background, but I think we may pass on that because Chris covered it so good, so thoroughly. And then we'll get into the disclaimer. I'm not an expert. So we'll jump into why corporate sponsorships, talking about Rotary and business, different types of corporate sponsorship tiers, as well as the value proposition, and then sharing the novel idea for kind of a group discussion of how that relates to membership. So background, how we got here, we talked about United Way of Lane County and HIV Alliance. I've been in fundraising for about 5 years and have recently transitioned to the other side of the table of getting to be a funder, which it's less stressful on this side. And then, just thinking of the membership composition of clubs, the connections that our Rotary organizations have, and how we might be able to leverage that as we start thinking for the future. And then once again, the disclaimer, I am new to Rotary. I have only been here for about a year, folks. So take what I say with a grain of salt. If I break your club, it's not my fault, but we are going to see if any of these, options work well for you as a club. So why corporate sponsorship? Corporate sponsorship is a unique funding source that organizations can tap into. In the last year across the United States, nearly $30 billion were given through corporate gifts. And this is showing a trend of increasing on an annual basis. So that number is continuing to grow. And if we look at contributions by source in the United States, corporate gifts make up almost 6% of giving. The vast majority is still seen as individual. And when we think of Rotary, we really think of the connections in our membership. So Rotary is one of the largest service organizations in the world. We have about 1.4 million members internationally. Here in our district, we have 62 clubs across the region, and membership is composed of community leaders, business professionals. So, as a club, how can we really leverage the influence of our membership and really kind of work with them to build these pipelines towards corporate giving and or sponsorships? So I just want to do a very informal poll of the group. Sorry, I forgot to click along here. Oops. But who here has ever received a corporate sponsorship before? Feel free to just raise your hand. Okay, Marv's on there. Great, I'm seeing some other hands. Not everyone has received a corporate sponsorship before. So when we think of corporate sponsorships, it's really, another way of an organization's corporate social responsibility. It's how they give back to the community. Typically it's addressing some sort of community need or issue. And, as the organization making the solicitation, it's important for us to outline that. What are the benefits towards a corporate sponsorship and how does it value the organization who's making the gift? Are they going to receive visibility as a sponsoring organization? Will it lead to positive public relations? Is this a part of their marketing budget? A lot of these businesses will actually have dedicated line items towards making gifts to community events. And for us, we need to package it in a way that makes sense to them in terms of a return on investment. So what are we doing to measure this impact? How can we share that when making the ask? So letting them know, we have over 100 members in XYZ Club. These members represent a number of constituents that are important for you as a partner. So really being able to start coming together with what are some of the reasons that a business would want to contribute financially and what's in it for them as they're making this gift. So some of the examples and ways that this can be documented, I really like to quantify where I can. And so being able to say that this gift will be recognized by, XXX members across XYZ service region and be shared with X number of community organizations. Will their logo be put on an invite? Will you have it as a table tent? Will it be placed on your website? What kind of recognition is in it for the business to partner with you on making this gift? And so kind of going into the novel idea that Chris and I were exploring, we had discussed a number of challenges related to Rotary clubs today. The first being, how do we really recruit new members? You're probably asking, why am I here talking to a membership committee? Well, these could potentially be connected, and that's what we're wanting to explore today. So, the next step here is, how can we come up with a solution that addresses both the challenges of fundraising for service projects that matter and recruitment of new organizations as a pipeline effort? Now, this was the idea that I threw out to Chris. What if a benefit to sponsoring organizations included some sort of honorary or perhaps introductory membership? In our club, we use the whole red badge, blue badge system. I'm not sure if that's standard across every club through Rotary International, but if we were to create a different dynamic, a green badge of sorts, could this be used to draw new attention into our organization and draw in a different pool of prospects as potential new members? So as a green badge member, they would be introduced to the model. They could potentially attend our weekly club meetings, hear the presentations, and we could set parameters on what their membership looked like. So if we were to solicit a gift from a sponsoring organization, we could offer a perk or a benefit, such as, as an annual sponsor of the annual dinner, let's just throw it out there, your business would be offered 3 introductory memberships for a 1-year basis. The idea is that after this introductory period, these members would be enticed to join as full-fledged members. Fledged or pledged? We'll figure that out. So some considerations that kind of came after meeting with Chris and, exploring this idea is whether this truly would pass the 4-way test. Is it true? Is it fair? Going down the list and thinking, would these memberships require dues to Rotary International? What might a trial look to see whether this approach could even be successful? And that kind of leads us to where I believe Chris is taking us today, is to see, whether this conversation is fruitful. Would it be something that clubs would want to consider pursuing? What does this relate to Rotary International dues? Are there other considerations that we might want to discuss as a group? Are there concerns that we're missing? As well as, how can we engage our members through their own business affiliations? We have such a rich network, we need to be tapping into it. So I hate to kind of present and run, but I told Chris I'm working on a tight timeline today. So I thought maybe I can stick around for 3 more minutes, but I would really want to hear from the group about, what their thoughts are on this novel idea, as a way to drive recruitment efforts as well as fundraise, on behalf of service projects that matter to us through our service work.
Well, thank you so much, Jesse. Let's give him a quick but not very long round of applause because we don't have too much time. I will send a slideshow out tomorrow. I see Marv's got his hand up. Anyone else want to ask Jesse a question or make a comment? Please put your hand up on the reaction thing. And we might have time for 3 minutes if you can each get them in under a minute. Marv.
Corporate memberships help us with 5 of our major events. And with all of those sponsors that we have, and there are well over 25 sponsors, bring in almost $35,000 a year, but they're project specific. So I would definitely suggest doing that.
It makes sense to have just like in fundraising, if it's project specific, people are more willing to give. Alan.
Jesse, some great novel ideas. I love the guest thing and the crossable red badge, but I think that we have to figure out how Rotary International will deal with that. So, but thinking outside the box, great job.
And more?
To go back to what Marv said about sponsorships. So back when I was working with United Way of Lane County and HIV Alliance, we would host annual events, and these events were often majority of the fundraising from these events would come through corporate sponsorships. And we're talking north of $50,000 for each event. And this would be, gifts of $5,000, $7,500, perhaps $10,000 from a single organization. And when you think of the way that grassroots fundraising often takes place, you're putting on a run, a walk, your margins are very small. You're looking at perhaps making $15 per ticket sale. And it's like, well, what is the biggest, return on investment? How can we make sure that we're being efficient in the use of our time and securing the largest amount of funds possible with the least amount of effort? And I'm going to tell you, corporate sponsorships are the answer. It's not to say that we should ignore individual giving. Individual giving is still, a huge pool of funds that we can tap into. But if we want to think beyond individual members, think of the agencies that they represent, the businesses that they bring to the table, and how they might be able to use that sway to secure gifts to support your work.
Jesse, before you run, can you give us 3 good teasers or sales pitches or just, little line items that we can say, here's the benefit to you? The what's in it for me answer.
So I liked, what Marv mentioned about the project specific. And, for employers, I've seen it kind of fall into 2 tracks. Either the organization has a line item for marketing and they don't really care about the impact. They just want their brand to be visible and for the public relations to occur. The other is really focused on the impact and thinking, what is the return on investment? Am I supporting a project? Is it going to have a tangible effect in the community? And so being able to kind of document what those deliverables are. So through your support, we will feed 150 seniors through Meals on Wheels. It's hard for someone to say no to something that's so concrete. But I would say quantify where you can, sharing out the number of individuals who will be receiving your invites, where that invite will be shared, for how long it will be shared, the networks that your memberships engage with, what sectors do they represent? Are they part of the finance sector? Are they part of the nonprofit sector? Just giving them as much specifics as you can to really make a strong argument for them to pull out their checkbook and support your cause. Other things, invite them. We would typically have tiered packages that would say, through a sponsorship of $5,000, you'll be given 8 seats to our annual dinner. It is now their job to fill those seats, and you're gaining exposure to a new audience who, perhaps you wouldn't have engaged with before. And so coming up with, what are the benefits that we can give to a sponsoring organization, and how can we ensure that they're not eating away at the principal gift? And so it's kind of a delicate balance of, well, this organization gave a $250 sponsorship. The cost of a meal for an attendee is $75. Does it make sense to give them 8 seats? Hell no. So, really coming out with what is going to be the best way to, recognize the contribution, as well as save as much of that funding for the event as possible.
Well, thank you so much, Jesse. I know you've got a camera crew coming down to take your mugshot or something.
Yeah, we've got 8
Jesse is
interviews.
involved in this really, really cool project. Do you have a minute to tell them about it?
I can give a brief rundown. So we're working on a project called Constructing a Brighter Future. Constructing a Brighter Future involves 16 school districts across Lane County, where we have students in high school wood shops building transitional shelters for the unhoused community. So through partnerships with Everyone Village and Square One Village, they are housing these units, providing wraparound services, and getting the unhoused members of our community stably secure. But the students are gaining experience in the construction sector trade. They have hands-on experience. They're working with industry partners, and they're swinging hammers. So in the last year, we've built 16 units. We're forecasted to build another 16 units for the upcoming year. And the state of Oregon is hoping to replicate to a larger service region. So right now we're wanting to expand to Southern Oregon, as well as kind of like the Marion County region or area. But those are my updates. I think Chris and I are going to do another project focused solely on that event, at least for Southtown Rotary, maybe at the district level, we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a sneaky way for me to get you to stay longer, Jesse, and it worked.
Okay, well,
so thank you very much. Go back to work.
And feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
All right. And we'll just chat amongst ourselves now. Bye-bye.
Perfect.
All right. So any overriding comments? You can go ahead and unmute yourself. We're all friends here. And anybody want to that hasn't had it, there's some people that came in late. I will be sending out the slideshow and the recording on YouTube, obviously. But any comments from anybody? Bev?
I liked his idea about corporate sponsorships. We do the music festival called Porch Fest Grants Pass.
Right, I've heard
and we have probably about 30 sponsors, and they range anywhere from $100 up to 5,000 or so. And we raise money for kids organizations, Maslow or Project Youth Plus, and those kind of things. And we raised, I think, over $40,000 at the last festival, and it's free to our community. And so the sponsorships are big. And we have up front, we tell them what they get for it. If they donate over 2,000, they get 40 posters in Grants Pass stores with their logo on it, and they get an ad in the Courier and so forth. And then down to a friend, they get social media and website. So we have a great Facebook page. So I thought all of his ideas were spot on for what we're doing with this. And if anybody wants us to share our spreadsheets and so forth and what we offer people, I'd be glad to share with them in the future.
Bev, if you could send them to me, I'll send them out to the membership tomorrow when I do the summary. That would be great. Same with you, Marv.
If you want to make me a co-host, I can bring it up and show you one right now.
Okay, hang on. There you are. Okie dokie.
Okay, so I can do a screen share.
Uh-huh.
You see that?
Yep.
Okay, this is
Kind of
for,
little.
hold on, I'll make it larger. That better?
Yeah.
Yep. This is for our daddy-daughter dance. We have different, sponsors, and this is what we give them for each of the units. And we start looking for sponsors anywhere from 2 to 3 months before our first advertisement goes out, which is basically in about 3 weeks, because our dance is normally right around February, March. And this is what we do for every one of our events. And the other thing that I'd like to point out is Chris was talking about larger numbers, $25,000, $50,000. We have to size it down a little bit. Most of our donations are anywhere from $500 to $2,500. And we have like our gift of literacy program. We have Hayden Homes in Selco. That's good for $6,000. Our teachers appreciation, On Point Community Credit Union and Mid Oregon Credit Union, that's good for almost $2,000. Our daddy-daughter dance is good for anywhere between $6,500 and $9,000. Our Wild Ride event, where we give out $10,000 to any local charity, but we've got 10 sponsors there, and they basically bring in about 15 grand. And
Marv, will you send that document you just shared to me so that I can send it out? It was inspiring to see it scroll by really fast, but it would be nice, I think. Don't you guys agree that it would be nice to be able to really take a peek at it? And I can send it out to everybody, but we get the idea. I think when Jesse said those bigger numbers, he was talking about United Way. Okay, so that's a bigger organization. Your club is probably not going to quite reach that. But what can we do? So
you'll have it right after the meeting.
I know I will, because you are always so efficient, Marv. I'm going to go around the room and ask you each what you think about this and how you might be able to use it. One thing I would give an opinion about is the 4-way test aspect and making them a member. I think when Jesse and I talked about it more specifically over lunch one day, it wouldn't be a real member. It would be sort of like he called it introductory member, or he had some kind of a different name for it. So it wasn't really a member, but they could come to our meetings. Well, shoot, we didn't let anybody come to our meetings. They could come to our fundraisers. Yeah, we'd probably let anybody come to. They can help work on our projects. Yeah, we'd probably let anybody do that. So, maybe not calling them a member, but maybe, getting around that wording somehow might be something that we do. But the idea is to entice them to stay involved with our organizations, with our clubs.
Chris, we don't invite them as members, but what we do is we give them plaques after they donate something, so they can hang it or
on their wall
or something. And then we also do videos of every one of our events and making sure that the sponsors are noted. We send that to them as well. Yeah. So they know that we're promoting that particular company when we do those things.
Good idea. Okay, should I go around the room, or does somebody want to offer to pitch in some thoughts first? Randy Bernstein, I have not seen you at these meetings before, so I'm going to pick on you because you're from my club. He's the past president of Eugene Southtown. And I think just like all of our clubs that haven't taken advantage of the sponsorship opportunities, that's probably what area we're in. But what do you think, Randy? Is there some potential there for us?
Well, yeah, I think so. Oh, am I on? Yeah. Okay. No, I like the idea, both the idea of soliciting or connecting or networking with some of the corporations, both for the idea of potential sponsorships for, fundraising events, but also, as I know he talked about, for the possibility of recruiting a more diverse, especially in terms of younger members. Seems like the only cost really is some time to be going out and reaching out. And the benefit, even if it doesn't come through right away with a new member or a sponsorship or something like that, it at the very least gets the Rotary brand and some understanding about Rotary out there. So,
Yeah.
I know that we've been, and like other clubs, I'm sure too, been doing a lot of events, and oftentimes what we get out of that depends on either our members' pocketbooks or our members' guests' pocketbooks.
Mhm.
We have been fairly successful in recent years, our club, and I know some of the others, in reaching out to other foundations. And so if we're able to do that, why not, more of our businesses, corporations and everything. So that's why I wasn't invited to this meeting, I'll have you know, but I saw it on the Rotary newsletter and asked Chris to invite me. So
We'll invite I always put when I send the link out, I say, share this with anyone. It's not this, we're not that exclusive of a group. We're people
I
who
know,
care about membership.
but it looked like
However we can get there.
It looked like it was mainly going out to membership, presidents, and president-elects. So,
But I get
Makes sense.
I get 3 or 4 emails every month about, can I come? It's like, well,
Uh-huh.
let me think about, yes.
yeah. Well, thanks, Chris.
Shelley, do you have any thoughts that you would be willing to share if you unmute yourself?
Actually, I have quite a few things going through my mind. The positive side is I really think I would have loved to have had the fundraising chair on this, because I actually think it's bigger than, oh, she is, look at her. I think it's bigger than just the membership committee. I think we've got to work in tandem with fundraising, because fundraising is the one that's usually out there trying to get the corporate sponsors. And we get the corporate sponsors in, and then membership kind of steps in to see where the possibilities are for membership from some of the people within that corporate sponsorship. I'm a little bit hesitant with doing another level of membership, because it might dilute what Rotary membership is. If you add a whole nother category on of someone that's not as committed as what a regular member would be. That's what's kind of swirling in my head with that. But I think there's huge opportunity there. And I can't remember who, I think it was Randy that stated it. We don't want to keep digging in our members' pocketbooks to fund our fundraisers. And so it is very important that we do go out there and I hate to use the word solicit, but partner with corporations for sponsorships. But I do think there's opportunity for membership, but it's a partnership with the fundraising committee. And
you're right about the fundraising committee. Maybe I should just send those emails to everybody. But our meetings are always recorded. They will be on our YouTube channel tomorrow. When I send out the recap, I'll send out the link. So you're free to share it with whoever in your club might benefit from that. But Jill, since you're from her same club, maybe you want to tag team on what Shelley said.
I sure will. So our club does not currently have any corporate sponsors, but we do have a community alliance I would say, with the Southern Oregon Wine Association and also with Brit Music Festivals. And Brit actually sponsors us to sell popcorn at all of their shows, which is a huge fundraiser for Jacksonville Applegate Rotary. I don't know that we've ever, we have tremendous community support. They're always donating, they're always supporting all of our efforts, but we've never asked them for $1. It's always in-kind service, etc. So I definitely would think about something like that in the future. And as far as the membership goes, I remember there was a woman who lived in Jacksonville, and we used to call her Mrs. Jacksonville. She ran the chamber, she ran the Christmas parade, the New Year's parade, etc., etc. We made her an honorary member of our club, and she ended up joining and contributing as much as she did to the city. She committed and to Rotary, and just tremendously improved what we did in fundraising. So without, she ended up being a member, a full-pledged member. As an honorary member, she was just honored at I think it was a cocktail party or something. But so there are ways, and I agree with Shelley. I think we need to definitely keep membership the way it is, just because of commitment. So
every club's got to consider that, how you do what you do with whatever knowledge you gain. Ron, you had your finger up. I didn't see.
I'm thinking the same thing about introducing another level of membership. Over the years, we used to have 4. There was active, there was senior active and honorary and all these other things. Now there's only 2, active and honorary. So on a Rotary International perspective, I don't think that they would want to go backwards and then bring back in another level of membership when they've reduced it down to just 2. So that would make it difficult. And how's it managed when you say put it through your board to get approval to bring one of these members in for a year and make them have the same sort of level of membership that the other people are paying full membership for? I just don't see how that's actually going to work. And I agree that if you can encourage them to come to a few meetings, 3, 4, 5, however many, get to know the membership, get to know what the club does and projects, and get them to become a full-fledged member at some point along the way, I think that's the best way to do it, rather than have that other membership level. So that's my perspective.
That makes sense. And like I said, it's each club can decide. I'm not sure. It seems like that would be opening up a can of worms. So let's forget, let's not focus on the membership aspect of it, and focus on how we can use corporate sponsorships to attract attention, which will attract members, right? I see Marv's got his hand up. I'm going to call on a couple people that have been nice and quiet before I get back to Marv, and I'll try to get everybody in for a thought or two before the end. Andrew, would you be willing to share anything? I see you're unmuted.
Sure. In fact, I just had the same thought. I mean, just because this was aimed at chairs of membership committees, we've been sort of obsessing, I think, about membership categories. We also use the term honorary membership. It's very loosely structured. We have one member who participates in one person who participates in all our meetings from Chile, and by way of Zoom. And so we've made him an honorary member. But he is a Rotarian himself. In fact, he's a past district governor down there. But again, other than that, it really doesn't mean very much, So I think it's the fundraising part that is really the important thing here. And just the other day, we had a discussion. We recently had a fundraiser, and it was one Project Amigo, that basically attracted most of the donors. That is the vast amount, or the majority of the money donated went to Project Amigo. The other one was non-specific, and that's the kind of money we like to use for district grants and all the rest. And, you know, we agreed that it's much more effective to have specific projects, because that's really what mobilizes donors. We have never done that with any kind of, you know, corporate sponsor, but I think that's sort of the next logical extension, or next logical step of that, you know, you decide what the project is going to be. In fact, you might even frame the project with specific sponsors in mind, and then go appeal to them. In other words, what's the kind of project that would most likely attract, you know, sponsorship, and then, you know, take it from there.
Good point. I like that. Merlin, would you be willing to share a thought?
Yes, I'm a president-elect of Springfield Rotary Club, and we just had our board meeting this morning, and it overlaps with a number of these things. You know, I think the two things, it's important to keep them separate, but I think the sponsors and potential new members, for us, we're focused on pretty much the same list, but I hadn't considered combining the two concepts. But we've got the major businesses here in Springfield. We've identified those, and we're in the process of getting the most current contacts at each business, the ones that aren't currently members of Springfield Rotary Club. So our membership chair, Jay Zink, he's focused on trying to get members from those organizations. We also have our fundraising dinner auction coming up. And so I'm chairing that group, is how we're organized. We don't have a separate fundraising committee in our club, although we did discuss even that this morning, at least initially, that would be more of an ongoing thing. Right now, it's a president-elect responsibility to coordinate the auction committee for each year, just prior to becoming president. So you're kind of, I guess it's a
Trial by fire.
Making sure the resources are provided for the year that you'll be serving as president. So, but looking at that same list as potential sponsors, and I've been looking at more the aspect of having different levels that would have dinner seats available. The seats are $100 each, and at different levels of sponsorship, perhaps tying in, we're a part of that. So if it's a $5,000 sponsor and it's also has a table of 8, then you've got a net 4,200, which is still a significant sponsorship, but that's kind of concept. But so not combining the two, members and sponsors, but just for us, it looks like the same list, the same major businesses that we'd like to have involved in our club, and also the major businesses that are the ones potential sponsors.
Yeah, well, it helps you think outside the box, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to caution about when you're giving away seats at the table, the fundraiser, one of the fundraisers that I went to in the last year sold seats at the tables. So they had sponsor tables, and those sponsor tables were all empty.
Oh, yeah, that would be a terrible situation.
But they didn't come. If there's not a compelling reason for them to be there, be careful with that, because it makes it look like you're, it doesn't look good when you have half of the seats are empty. So I want to take 2 seconds and introduce, 4 seconds, and introduce Bruce Allen, who is your new district membership chair. He will be conducting these meetings going forward, so you will get a new link. And let Bruce say whatever pops into his mind, because I know there's always something. We have great conversations, and then I want to ask Marv what's brewing in his head. But go ahead, Bruce.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. As a new chair, I've been taking copious notes on all of this, and there's some great ideas. The only thing I would say is we would probably have to really drill down on some of the specifics, because this is going to definitely, every club will be different. Our club does something similar to this already. So some clubs will definitely have some experience with it, but it's got to go before the board. And as has been brought up several times, this is definitely a membership fundraising. It encompasses the whole club, which is good. I mean, it's, boy, heaven forbid we actually engage everyone. So that would be a great idea. So I don't want to take too much of your time, besides the fact that, thank you, I'm just sitting back listening and taking as much notes as possible. Got some big shoes to fill, so it's good to see everybody. A good turnout today. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. I really appreciate the work you're putting into this. Marv, I promised I would let you talk. You've had your hand up for 10 minutes.
It's okay. I talk too much anyway sometimes. We have different levels of membership. We have a civic membership. We have a corporate membership. All that Rotary International wants to know is who are your members. So in our corporate memberships, we give discounts, and it's 2 people from the corporation or business. It's a discounted rate, and then the club picks up the difference. Our civic memberships, we only have 1 a year, unless we roll it over to the next year. And that is 1 person in the city that we feel exemplifies what Rotary is all about. And for the last 2 years, it's been our superintendent of schools. He comes in and he is a full-fledged member, and we pay all of his dues. It just so happens his wife has now joined as a full member as well. So that's a good thing. There was a comment made by Merlin about different people. If you go to your chamber, if you are a member of your Chamber of Commerce, they have a list of all of their members. You have access to that as a chamber member, and then you can peruse through all of that to see where those people might help you with being sponsors for specific events. It was brought out that specific events to get sponsors in what they like doing is extremely important. Mm-hmm. So, and then don't cross over sponsorships. Like if they're sponsoring one of your events, don't go to them for other events. That helps the chair of the event know that no one's going to try and rob their sponsors that have been with the club for a number of years. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't think you'd want like 3 different banks sponsoring your event either. You know, you want to kind of mix it up so that there's potential for marketing for each of these sponsors and the what's in it for me. Leslie, I haven't heard from you, and you do a lot of PR work through news releases. What do you think about this whole sponsorship concept?
Something for me to write about. Yeah, I'm the publicity chair along with co-chair. Yes, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know a lot about our fundraising. We do an annual fundraising dinner. I did learn that and our club is quite small, and we're kind of focused on now getting 40 members, which is, I think we're going to have to add 5 members. So that's kind of been my focus, but I've taken a lot of notes here, and some of these are really good ideas. And so tomorrow at our board meeting, after our breakfast meeting, excuse me, I'm going to report on all of this and also ask, gosh, do we have a fundraising chair? I don't think we do. I think every year we have this one big fundraiser, and whoever is in charge of that looks for sponsors and so on. We're such a small community here. We don't have a lot of major corporations. We can sneak in and steal some from Bend and Redmond. And also, we don't have a lot of members who are still working in organizations that can give us money. For example, you know, we have a school board member, we have the police chief, we have 2 school principals. Well, we give them money. We don't they don't give us any money. Those are the organizations we contribute to. We also have this robust women's club right down the street, which takes in about $100,000 a year. So there's a lot of competition too for money in our area. Those women, okay, so there's like 350 members and they just get out there and work. So anyway, so we have some challenges, but I've got a lot of good ideas. So I don't have
Well,
much.
I think matching your sponsorships market to your membership market is a good thing. So a lot of clubs go, well, we can't really get, so-and-so to sponsor us because we have an older demographic. Well, then what about getting maybe an assisted living facility to sponsor you? I mean, they'd be cherry picking that older demographic to potentially want to market to. So, if you're trying to if you could try to match those two,
Right.
then, you have to just think the way they think.
Right.
Sharon, from our Californian, what do you have to say about all this? But you have to be unmuted.
I'm doing that. As I always say, we're a tiny little place. Our town is 1,000 people, and our club has 4 active members and 8 that just are just on the books.
Yeah.
But we do a balloon fair every year, and it works out really well because our sponsors get a balloon ride. And so they love that. And that's how we actually get more sponsors, because you could only, we had 12 balloons. So that means we had 3 days, we had 36 lifts. You could only put anywhere from 200 to 500 pounds in a balloon. So you had very limited amount of lifts. And we can't call them rides because that's for insurance purposes. They can't be rides. They're sponsor lifts or whatever it is. And so the sponsors were sponsoring just so they could get a lift, and it depended how much they gave is how much they could how many people they could put on. But still, we only raised about $4,000 with everything that it costs to do a balloon fair. But
with 4 members.
I know, only 4 members. I didn't sleep for 3 days.
If my club has 100 members, so if we raised 100, I would be laughing. I'd be bragging about it. So that's awesome. Mitch, we're running down to the last 6 minutes. Do you want to have anything you'd like to contribute?
Well, this discussion of the type of membership you've had, I thought that's been a topic in the past. And when I belonged to a regular club, now I belong to the E-Club. I'm trying to think about E-Club doing this type of membership. We have a board meeting this Thursday, and I will bring this topic up for sure. That's my thoughts right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I have Angela, and then Bruce, and then Ray, and then I think I've had, and Bev. Okay. Angela, you have the thought?
So unfortunately, I missed the whole presentation, but I do have about
you'll get it tomorrow.
In fundraising experience. That's been mostly what I've done most of my life. And the thing that really stood out to me was thinking of sponsors outside of the club. We keep going back to our members again and again for money and their businesses. And I do like the idea of extending membership offer to those sponsors. I guess I'm not really a big supporter of making them honorary members, because Rotary means something. It's a commitment. It is a value that I believe that if we're going to have a sponsor, they have to support our mission and they have to be committed to the community, and not just somebody who happens to work at a company that gave us money. I guess I feel strongly about that myself. But we do a 5K, and right now Royal Caribbean is our major sponsor, and it's all dependent on the employee that works there. So if she moves away, we lose Royal Caribbean, right? So I guess where I'm going with that is getting sponsors outside of your club. And I would love to talk with Ray and somebody else who's from the Springfield Club. Just so that we're not duplicating efforts on going after the same sponsors, since we're both Springfield clubs. I'm from Springfield Twin Rivers. But that's kind of what I would have to say.
Thank you. Good points coming from all of you. Bruce, I hope you didn't wait in the waiting room too long. It took me a minute to see that you were there.
No, it wasn't too bad. I'm in my classroom and the kids are looking at me like, "You're really talking? What are you doing?" Well, anyway, we have a bluegrass festival that we put on at the end of June. And one of our sponsors is the facility where we meet, Wild River Pizza in Cave Junction. And they donate a ton to us. And then Taylor Sausage is our other sponsor. And we have a member from Wild River. We don't have a member from Taylor's. And we've worked on them, trying to get them to become a member. But I like the idea of reaching out to other sponsors in the community. And I think the Chamber of Commerce is going to be a good contact for us.
Good deal.
Oh, I have a question.
Ray and then Bev. Sorry, Leslie, I'll get to you if we still have time, but you know how this goes.
Question.
Ray.
Me? So I'm very interested in this. I'm extremely interested in the levels of sponsorship and what you offer for what comes in, because that's what our club really does not have defined. We did, for the first time, look for sponsors for our auction last year. One of the problems is that that we've encountered in the past is that our Rotary Club is not a foundation. We are, as most Rotary is, we're a 501c4. And so we have to be sure that we do not promote a tax write-off for the deduction. That's a really important distinction. Our foundation is now working with us. They've changed their focus a little bit so that they're working in a different way with us. But to present, here's what we will give you because we cannot give you that write-off. And that's what I needed. I did my own solicitation of businesses and I got a number, but one person said, he's a good friend, but he said, normally we get table passes or whatever. And I said, well, at $500 when the table's $100 a person, but we've got to have that better defined. And so I appreciate Marv and whoever the other person is that is sharing that information.
Yeah, well, watch for your email tomorrow. Bev, you got 1 minute.
Oh, yeah, I don't have much more to say other than it's working for us because the sponsorships in our projects is because we do a lot of projects that are out there in the community. And depending on what your club dynamic is, it would be hard to do some kind of, ask for some kind of sponsorships. Like we're doing a mural on the side of Glass Forge right now. And so Glass Forge blows glass and just a huge mural. But we have a lot of people in our club that are artistic and that type of thing. So has to be a event for matches your club, I guess.
Right. Good point. Every one of our clubs is different. So speaking of difference though, time flies when you're having fun. It is 11 o'clock. I really try to honor your time. Bruce will be emailing you for next month's session. So keep your eyes peeled, your ears peeled. Anyway, listen up because we're going to have another great session. I'm also thinking as I get farther into the leadership grid of the district leadership of doing a monthly leadership forum. What do you guys think about that? It would encompass much more than membership, but it would include a little membership and a little PR and a little fundraising. And how do you run a board? And how do you select volunteers? And how do you get people to do stuff? And how do you motivate? And how do you inspire? All that kind of stuff. Do you guys think that would be worthwhile?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm thinking about it. So now all I have to do is do it.
Every other month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me.
How do we find out about each other's events? Some of your stuff sounds so fun. I would like to go. I'd pay $100 to do some of these. And so is there a list that goes out so that we know so-and-so is doing?
It should be on DACDB. It should be on DACDB. And if it isn't, shame on the event. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to adjourn because I have another meeting to go to. You guys have work to do and go back and get sponsors. Thanks.
Hi, Merlin.
Bye.
DAC DV. I
was
don't know what
Bruce,
that
I'm
is.
sticking around, so where'd Bruce go?
Uh-oh, what is DAC DV?
Oh, district and club database. Ask
Oh.
somebody in your club. Oh, you got to know about DAC-DB lead. That will help you a lot.
Okay, I don't know
In
if
fact,
anybody.
one of our meetings, if you go back and look at our YouTube videos, one of them is about DAC-DB.
DAC-DB.
It's DACDB, and it stands for District and Club Database.
Database. Thank you. No, no one has told me any. I got not much information.
Oh, I
so.
know, and you're new, so there's a fire hose of information out there. So be careful what all you try to absorb.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.